now. There was new fallout today after President Obama had a humorous moment about shovel-ready projects. That during a meeting with his jobs counselor. Here's what he said in North Carolina yesterday afternoon.
That's exactly what we see in American business as well.
Shovel-ready was not as shovel-ready as we expected.
Remember, the shovel-ready came out of the stimulus plan that cost about $1 trillion. South Carolina Congressman Mick Mulvaney is a Republican on the House Budget, Joint Economic and Small Business Committees. And, sir, how you doing? Good morning to you.
Morning, Bill.
What you think of the comment?
It hurt. I mean, it hurt a lot. I've got 15% unemployment in my district. I'm sure certain those folks weren't laughing. You sort of get the impression that the president doesn't really know how to create jobs, doesn't know how the economy creates jobs, and he's sort of getting this on-the-job training that's costing us $1 trillion. So it hurt.
What does shovel-ready mean to you, sir?
Let's go out and work tomorrow. Listen, if all of the stimulus had gone to actually building roads and bridges, I think we'd have much less debate in this nation. But clearly that's not what the stimulus was intended to do. There are much more wealth transfer programs in there than actual roads and bridges. So now the $1 trillion is gone, and I've still got broken down roads and bridges in my district in addition to the unemployment. So
why was it pushed through in 21 days then? when the people doing the pushing didn't really understand what it meant in the end anyway?
Yeah, because it bought a lot of votes. I mean, that's what it comes down to. The stimulus project was a re-election program for the president, not a jobs program for America. I think we've been saying that now for 2 years. Unfortunately, we're in the very uncomfortable position now of having said, "I told you so." But sooner or later, you gotta call it out for what it was. It was not an effective way to put people back to work.
You know, I remember when it was signed into law, we sent a crew out to Central Missouri. And they were doing repairs on a bridge, old broken down bridge that they'd wanted to restore. And for the people of that community, they needed it to be rebuilt. And there were like 7 guys working that day. And we looked at the size of the bill. It was well over $700 billion. Since then, I believe it's gone up to, what, $860 billion in total cost? And you had 7 guys on a bridge. I think your point is well taken. I think most people thought when you were putting money into rebuilding the infrastructure in America, that's what you were going to get. Freshly paved roads and new bridges.
And we did. We got wealth transfer payments and another $300 billion of interest on top of that $800 billion in cost. So we spent $1 trillion, we bankrupt ourselves, and we have very, very little to show for it. Nothing to show for it in my district in terms of new jobs. Again, I got 15% unemployment I'm trying to deal with back home. So
you don't find much humor in that then, do you?
Not at all. In fact, it's very close to being insulting to the folks in South Carolina.
Yeah. What is the Republican plan to create jobs in America? And you know, you look at this debate last night. You can pivot off that if you like. Or I want to know, and our viewers want to know, what you would do differently.
It's really simple. When the government spends more, business spends less. When the government spends less, business spends more. And when business spends more, that's when people go back to work. You can go back and look if you want to during the Clinton administration, the last time we had a real boom time in this economy. What happened? It wasn't higher taxes. It was a smaller federal government. During the Democrat administration, a Republican Congress, the federal government got much smaller, both in terms of the number of employees and the size of the government relative to the overall economy. When government spent less, business spent more, and everybody went back to work. And that's what we're offering in Washington this year.
To that point, though, that means less regulation. And the president conceded that yesterday. He said Washington's full of rules and you need to have fewer of them. You're on point with him on that.
Well, he's conceded it, but again, that's all talk and no action. I represent a state where Boeing is trying to move a new assembly line for a new airplane, but we're being sued, Boeing is, by an administration agency, the NLRB, to prevent exactly that from happening. The president says all the right things. He's been saying it since his State of the Union address. Less regulation, easier to do business, but the actions just don't match up with the words.
No. Charleston's a wonderful town. I got to tell you, I was there a couple months ago. It's one of the few American cities I've been to in the past 3 years where you're actually creating jobs, and it's a great sight to see. Sir, thanks for coming on today, okay? Mick Mulvaney out of South Carolina.
Thanks, Bill.